It's a bit audacious to make a connection between the things Master Yang tells us and this 2,500 years old Chinese wisdom and the neuroscience, the brain, the science of the brain and the nerves. But I had so many similarities that I thought maybe it will help a little bit to understand the brain, and it will only tell you a little bit about the brain because it's too much what is to tell about it. And I will make some connections to the things you told us. So, and if I'm wrong, you please correct me at once. So I'm a beginner in your art, and so I know it's a bit risky. It's a bit risky. I have a question for you. Why do you have a brain? What do you need it for? Most people say for thinking, but our brain has other things to do, and it developed about 550 million years ago. It started to develop. Yeah. In those times, you had animals without brain, but they lived. And they were not happy because they had no brains. They could not be happy. It is difficult to be happy without a brain. Just that you can imagine how long this is. If 1 year is 1 meter, you have to round our Earth 12,500 times in order to have an idea how long this is ago. So if 1 year is 1 meter, 550 million years ago. As a brain started 150 million years ago. So that's not so long. Normally I have a brain, a second brain with me, and that is this here. This is a second brain. It developed from the spine, if you want to say. So it was a neural column, and at the top of the column it started to build a brain. This is the column, and the emotional parts of the brain were placed inside to have them safe. And then you have in the front all the things you think with. So this is the brain. This is the front of the brain. So if you take your hand, the index finger is a thing you are thinking with. That is your cognitive abilities. That's where you are thinking. Then here you have all the things that you need for movement. The third finger is all the things you have. You take in all the perception you have. And the last one is a visual system. Here. So you have 3 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 parts and the emotions inside. And you have 2 parts. So you have 2 parts. So you have a second brain with you all the time. If yours not functioning, you can use this one. It works. Normally it works. Okay. Now, honestly, our brain has one task, to make sure we survive for the next second, for the next minute, for the next day, not longer. That's the task of our brain, how to survive. And what does it? It makes a forecast. It says the future which will come to us and which kind of energy we need in order to survive. That's the only thing our brain is developed for. To make a forecast, to say for the future how many energy we will need in the next second, in the next hour, in the next day. And this is a scientific word, is called allostase. That's a word, what it does. And how does the brain do this? It collects all the information from within our body. Millions of data, any second. Millions of data. From our liver, from our intestine, from our joints, from our heart, from our skin. Everything from inside, in any second, millions of data. And the second one, it collects every data from outside. The surroundings, the people, everything. And there's one third part which is very, very important. It needs in order to say the future. What do you think what it is? It's our memory. It retrieves any second all the things that's necessary for the forecast. So, right now you are sitting here, and what is your brain doing? It is developing scenarios, what will happen in the next few seconds. So, probably your brain expects I'm still talking here and behave properly. That's the most possible forecast. But your brain does, within 1 second, many forecasts. For example, it develops 50 to 60 scenarios what will happen within the next seconds. And not only these scenarios, but it develops action plans for these scenarios as well. To have parallel, any second, your brain is very creative. It produces 60 scenarios what will happen, and about 40 action plans for the most probable scenarios, so you are prepared for action if something happens. So, if I come to you, you are not prepared. Yeah. What does it mean? Why is it so important to say what will happen? Because it saves energy. If I know what will come and I'm prepared, I don't need energy. If you are not prepared, you have to develop new ideas, new things, new measures. And then it will be very, very costful for your energy. You need a lot of energy, and energy is all the thing you need. We know. Yeah. That is what you need. So the brain makes forecasts out of the inner data, or inner reception, and the outer reception, and then it says, when I the last time was in this situation, what was the most probable thing what happened? So your brain is now in a situation collecting all the data and saying, when I the last time listened to someone talking about science, what happened? What did I do? And what was good for me? So, and this is doing any second. Then the brain knows, but we don't know. Yeah, our brain knows what will happen, but we don't know. But the brain developed a signal system for us in order to give us information what it has itself for information. So, if the brain is weary and say, well, too less energy maybe, it could be dangerous, then what happens? We have a feeling of not being easy, we are uncomfortable. And if everything runs well, we have a feeling of, oh, nice day today. I'm feeling well, I have energy. Yeah. So the information, the global information, what will happen within the next time is a basic feeling you all know. Yeah, it changes from very, very depressed. It's not emotions, I think. It's a basic feeling. Yeah, and what we do out of these basic feelings, we develop emotions by naming things. They're like sad, angry, happy, hungry. All these things are emotions we can handle by using words and take action, voluntary action. We decide things to do. This is possible. And with this decision, we can change our memory. And the memory is important for doing forecasts. So if we're learning new things, our brain will change his forecasts in direction of better forecasts, and that means we need lower energy. This is the main action of the brain. Taking all the information out of our body and making a forecast. All the other things we do is nice to have, but it's not necessary for surviving. The only reason we have a brain is to save energy in order to survive safely. That's the function of the brain. We have many organs, many systems. We have heart, lung, kidney, spleen, liver. We have joints, bones. We have a skin. We have the kidney, for example. Yeah. The kidney does a lot of work. Yeah. It makes sure that we don't lose important things like salt, like sugar, and it cares that all the dangerous stuff is going out. It cares that we have enough blood pressure. It produces 3 hormones which regulate our blood pressure. And the blood pressure is necessary in order to transport the blood, the red blood cells, all into our body, in cooperation with the heart. That is very, very good cooperation. And in cooperation with our blood vessels. Very good cooperation. And what it does else, it is make sure all our organs have different functions, not only one. Our brain as well. The kidney does as well care for the production of red blood cells. It has a special hormone, erythropoietin, which cares that red blood cells are newly produced. And it is looking about our calcium household. So where do we have enough calcium in our body? We have many different tasks and they're going one into another. Now, let me make one thing is very interesting. We have many cells, very many cells, about 30 billion. That's a 10 with 15 zeros. Yeah, but we are very friendly people. We carry with us another 30 billion living cells. Bacteria, fungus, virus, it's called the biome. You heard about it. Yeah. It is mainly in our gut, but it's all on our skin. And all these strange animals, let's name them, have a very important task for ourselves. They help us. They produce vitamins, they produce acids, and even if we are little babies, they transport genes from outside into our genome. They are very important for us. It's about 3 to 4 kilograms we carry with us, and that's not our cells. That's we are the host. And these cells, these strange cells, these strange bacteria, for example, have a direct connection to the brain. They are talking with the brain here in force. Yeah, it's not believable, but it's proven. And our cells have a direct connection all the time. Our organs have connections to the brain. Our brain receives all the information and gives information what is to do. Yeah. In a danger situation, we have enough power to defend ourselves or to run away or to hide. And all this is going regularly, on a regular basis. Our brain does not function as all we think. I see something, I think, and I react. Too slow for surviving. Much too slow. Yeah. We have to be prepared. That's why our brain makes forecasts, develop action plans, and if something happens, we are prepared. Otherwise, we are too slow to react. It does not work in our, like we always thought. Yeah. The old idea from seeing something and reacting is not really scientifically proven anymore. It's an old idea. I would like to make 4 things. So, Master Yang tells us the blood flow is very, very important. Yeah, because there is an energy transported. And this is scientifically in the brain, we can have only one focus. Yeah. Multitasking is not possible. You only have only one focus. You can concentrate on one thing because our brain is too small for all the possibilities it has. And it has to be small in order to be not too big during birth. Otherwise the mother would die. So the brain is in a strong hold of bone in our collar, and it's too less space. There's not enough space. So if you focus on one thing, the blood flow is directed on the region of the brain in order we can concentrate on reading. And if now the phone is ringing and we are going to the phone, we have to change our focus. And then the blood flow within the brain has to be redirected. And this takes half a second from one area of the brain to the next area, because the brain is not enough that all our brain can work on high speed all the time. So focus on some area is high speed work. Yeah. And if we change the direction, then it takes half a second in order to make the new, to live within the new focus. But our brain does not work within this half second. It's actually a blackout. It's actually a blackout. But we don't realize it because our brain has one very, very important task. It's a liar to ourselves. I give you one example. Yeah? You all know what you are doing when you are thirsty. What you are doing?
Drink.
You drink. Yeah? And how much do you drink? How long do you drink? Till your thirst is over, right? You drink 2 glasses of water and say, well, now I'm no more thirsty. But till the water arrives in the cells, it takes 20 minutes. When you have the feeling, I'm no more thirsty, it's a forecast of the brain. It had realized, oh, he had 200 milliliters of water inside, now it's enough. Yeah? Stop it, tell him he is no more thirsty. But the body itself didn't yet receive the water. And we have many things, our brain tells us lies. You all see the sun in the morning, yeah? She's going up, right? No, the sun is not going up. The earth is turning. Yeah, but our brain tells us the sun is going up. It's really, for us, it's reality. And if you drank 2 glasses of water, it's reality for you, for your imagination, for your subjective feeling. I am no more thirsty. It is different if you are hungry. Yeah, you can eat more than you need. You don't drink more than you need. Yeah, sometimes you drink more than you need. Yeah. But that's a different story. But if you are eating, it takes longer till you get the message. It's enough. That's why we are likely to eat more than we need. Yeah. Especially if it's very tasty. So that's the thing with the blood flow. Yeah, the blood flow can be directed and has to be directed because we have not enough blood. So it cannot be everywhere in the body. So that's why you have different exercises, very specialized exercises. Yeah. And now the most important thing, organ service. You said always it's very important that our organs are healthy. So why? Because all the brain needs is information about our organs in order to make a forecast, a good forecast in order to save energy. And when our organs, and they are not our second mind, they are our first mind, because the brain needs the information from here. Otherwise it cannot work. Yeah? And after it has the information from the Dantian, it can make forecast and it can give feedback and can say, do something different. So the Chinese history and Chinese people were very clever and very wise. Many years ago, I think 2,500 ago, they knew already things we now can prove with Western science. But the fact is already known many hundred years. So, and we are very happy you are here and telling us all these things. So then you say something different. You say joyful training. Yeah, it's important to have a joyful training. Why is it important to have a joyful training? Because if you have a joyful and a stressful training, you learn more. Yeah, and you learn you can use it longer. And very important. If you learn something with joy, you can use it broadly. You can use all the things you learn and can use it in any situation. If you learn something under stress, you can reproduce the things only under anxious conditions. Yeah. And you are not able to use it freely and very clever. So that's a very important thing. And the next thing, we do after learning, we have time for relaxation. What happened in this time? It's newly known. It's not so long known in science. When you learn something new, and you do after you did the learning, a short time of relaxation, say 2 minutes, 5 minutes. What does your brain? It uses the time. It doesn't relax. Your brain never relaxes. Yeah. It always uses 100%. And in this time, when you relax, your time make a rehearsal. It repeats what you learned 50 to 60 times within 2 minutes. 60 times again what you just learned. Yeah. It's a very important thing. If you don't make a relaxation, it doesn't do this. Yeah. If you are happy, it will do it in the night. If you have a good sleep, then in the night there will be the rehearsal for the repeating about 240 times. All the things you learned new on the day, and you have a good sleep, then your brain is reworking this 240 times again. And then you never forget it. Yeah, then it's within you. And that's one thing I saw here. And the last thing I would mention is the atmosphere. There's a British scientist, his name is Robert Sheldrake, and he speaks from morphogenetic fields. And he says, if some idea is in the room and all people are eager to grab it, that means they work in the same field, then the idea is coming to you without learning. You just have a field and you can take part in it. So he has very many examples. For example, it functions as well between animals and men. So he has a very nice example. It's it's not an anecdote, it's real. A worker in London went by train home, and his dog came to the train station and fetched him every day at 5:30, every day. But if the man had free and is coming at 1 o'clock, the dog is sitting at the train station. And when he misses the train, or he has to work longer, yeah, his dog doesn't go out of the house. The wife said, what happened? And the dog said, nothing. He just didn't go to the train station. He went at 7 o'clock when he knew his master could come. So, because they have the same atmosphere, taking part and knew each other. Yeah. So another example, if you teach animals something new in New York, other animals in Tokyo will learn it twice as fast because it's already learned one time in the world. If something new is in the world, you can learn it faster on another place in the world because these fields have a common atmosphere and you can take part. But you cannot take part that I want to, that you have to endeavor it. You have to work for it. You have to work in the field, and then you get connections. And that's why, if you are training in a group, you have a much better possibility to learn something and to learn it in the right way than you do it alone at home. That's a few ideas I collected. And do you have any questions?
Thank you. Yes. When you said, okay, normally people think that the brain is for thinking.
Yeah.
So then how does thinking work if it's not, the brain is not doing that?
And then thinking, we have a very good capacity for thinking. Mm-hmm. Yeah? And this is the area, all you see what is red, yeah, is used for thinking. This area from up or from sides, big part is for thinking. But it is not the main aim, it's something what happened. As well as we are able to we can write and read. Yeah. Former people didn't, our forebears didn't know to read and to write. And we have a special space here in our brain where it's located already. I told you a story. It's very easy for us to recognize faces. Yeah? There's a region here in the back, and there you can recognize faces very fast. Now what happened? This region is now used for recognizing cars. Yeah, it is exactly the same network of neurons, of nerves, which is recognizing faces and is recognizing cars as well. So cars are very new development of evolution. Yeah. And our brain knows how to adapt very fast. I think this was...
we're training, for example, we do special training, especially me sometimes with my teacher. Where you build up a lot of what we call sixth sense. So we do something before something happen, use your sense, can visualize the feature which happened to you. What's these things working for brains? What's the part?
It's no more any part. We have 3-4 big systems in the brain. This is, so to say, a wrong picture. And what I told you about this one is not right at all. So, for example, this is it's recognized as a vision system. Yeah. But if you blind people by a scarf more than 2 hours, this region will be overthrown by the neighbor region, hearing and sensing. Yeah. And within 2 days, there is no more visual input, and this region is used by hearing and sensing. Yeah. But within 1.5 hours, no cell can grow, and there can no network be built up. That means this region always does transport of information of ear and senses. But we say it's a visual system. So we normally, up to now, we have the idea there's one very important system, it's called the default system. That is, when we are relaxing, when we are daydreaming, when we have inner connections, then this is one big system. And it's going along all the brain. So, and what you just mentioned is somewhere in this system. Yeah. Because it's very complex. And so that's a big advantage of our brain. It has so many neurons, there's so many connections. So we can do nearly everything if we use it. And this is a default system. Means this is a system if you are relaxed, but it's not relaxation, it is working in this time. So all the inner information which is crossing here and forth, it's working in this thing. If you have attention for outside, suddenly the system changes. You have an attention system for outside information, which is important. Yeah. And you have a special system, it means salient system. This is if something important is integrated into your brain. So if you are relax, and there's a loud thing. Then your system say danger or no danger, and then you have a short time of action. One thing is maybe is important. We all know if someone is friendly to us. Yeah? So because he's smiling, something like this. How can I know that you are friendly right now? Yeah, you are smiling. I can describe, but how friendly? What happened in my brain? I see your face. I see you smiling, and my brain takes this information and make a simulation running through all my body, through my face, through my muscles, through my heart, through my feet, and this simulation takes place within 200 milliseconds. And this simulation gives me a feedback, an inner feedback. What is happening when I have a face like this? I'm smiling. And when I am smiling, I feel happy, friendly. And then my brain says, she's friendly. Not while I notice she's friendly. No, I just notice my inner experience out of her picture. So the same happens if you see a dog. Yeah?
So this is why the so-called Spiegelneurone.
Spiegelneurone, yeah, that's a Spiegelneurone.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, the Spiegelneurone and mirror neurons. Yeah, they were found by an Italian researcher 20 years ago. And what he found, if we see someone eating, our mouth starts preparing for eating. So yeah, we have our salvia is running, and our muscles are prepared for biting. And it's very interesting. If you see a human, you have a strong reaction. If you see a monkey, you have a less strong reaction. If you see a dog, less. If you see a frog, eating something, a fly, you have the reaction as well, but very, very, very low. In another term, if you see someone is hurt, you have the same thing. Yeah. You feel the pain, and the pain is the stronger, the nearer the person is to you. So if the children are hurt, you feel a very, very strong pain. If someone far away, you feel the pain, but it's you can push it away. The brain is able to make sense out of any information it gets. Any information. So if you, for example, plant magnets into your fingertips, you can receive, your brain makes sense out of the information you get from it. Or if you have an infrared camera connected to your brain, you can see infrared pictures within very, very, very few days. And all of you know, meanwhile, people who have a hearing system implanted, who have deaf before and now have an artificial hearing system implanted. And a friend of mine, it took about 3 months till he was really very difficult because he didn't hear anything. And if we have friends talking, said, "What did you say? Can you write it to me?" So, and now he's sitting with us and he can have everything. So the brain uses the things it gets delivered and makes sense out of it. And you can use it then as an instrument.
Today, a lot of these type of things. Before I think, now with the science technology improve, everything is the truth.
Yeah.
All the time talk about exact the same. Even like a small molecule water, it's the same. 3,000 years ago, all talk about this, the water crystal. But not this words. It's another words. He talk about water have life. Water have habit. He talk about this one. Today, science prove it's like that. Chinese saying it's so enjoyable. You make your body small molecule water, or called mandala water. Mandala in the water. This makes small molecule. The water no hard. The soft. Very good.
I use a very new developed method in my practice. It is called water plasma. and is water treated by electricity and is loaded with electrons. So you can give energy into a body by breathing this water plasma, so you get energy. And I use it for people with very, very low energy, for example, post-COVID patients. And they develop from 10% energy to 40-50%.
I think from my experience that you say that the brain activates the reaction.
Yeah.
I don't think so, because there is a common center behind. Is the hypothalamus and amygdala. It's the emotion that activate any reaction of the brain. The brain is after. Behind there is the emotion. Emotion is the heart. The heart in Chinese medicine is the shen. A small shen, a big shen. But all reaction of our body come from heart. And heart active amygdala and hypothalamus. And after active the other reaction of the brain.
But that's not the nowadays scientific explanation. Yeah, it's not the idea and the decisions. It's their emotions. We are moved by emotions and not by thinking.
Isn't it
kind of a loop?
yeah, the both.
Feedback.
Yeah, like the heart pumps blood, and I feel like the emotions give the color, so that they decide in the end.
In Chinese medicine, the heart is the emperor. Also.
Yeah.
The emperor want to make an experience, and so he want to go to see, or like a baby, when baby want something, is natural.
Self-centered.
Okay, and all the organ, have to work for the desire of emperor. And in Chinese medicine, brain is not an organ. Also, Master Yang, when he talk about 5 organs, but brain is not organ. Brain is, I don't know in English,
The
prolungamento, the spinal bone marrow. It's not the organ. And heart is linked to brain. In Chinese medicine, we see Shaoyin. This Shaoyin is a level more deep that link heart with brain.
Isn't it the heart that the way you explained it, the brain gets feedback from the heart, so maybe the heart is first, but then it goes to the brain and then.
But there is some scientific writings from the Heart Lab Institute in America about brain-heart coherence.
And all organs are interconnected.
Yes.
You have no isolated. I tried with the kidney to explain. In order to have blood running, we need the kidney, we need the heart, we need the vessels, and we need the brain. All this is working together.
But the heart has this enormous electromagnetic field that no other organ
Of course.
has.
Yeah. And what we always have to have in mind is, if we discuss things, we have always look what level we are discussing. If we are discussing in Chinese medicine, we cannot say electrophysiology is wrong. If we discuss electrophysiology, then we cannot say Chinese medicine is wrong because of. That's not.
They should marry each other somewhere, somewhere the corner, you know.
Sometimes in future it will get closer. It will closer.
Yeah, with the time
it will join. Sometimes it will join.
But in China, a lot of medical, area, China or medical area, a lot of people started both Western medicine and traditional medicine.
Yeah,
That's two together.
A very adored professor of neuropsychiatry, Manfred Spitzer, maybe you heard of him, always shows 3 pictures of brains. I give you an example. The normal brain looks like this. Okay? This is the brain. Then he has 3 pictures. One looks like this. This is the brain. This is fluid. Yeah. This was a patient, and no, not a patient, a man, normal life, without any handicap. Yeah. 90% of his brain were gone. And another brain, only half a brain.
Okay.
A young lady without any handicap. She had an accident with 2 years, and her left brain was injured and was taken out by neurosurgeons.
Okay.
And she grew up without any handicap.
Was working?
She was working. She was has a family, has children without any handicap.
Okay.
And the third one is really a brain with a huge. This is a brain, and this is no brain, and nothing. Found out by chance. Yeah, he didn't go to the doctor because of problems with his brain. So our brain is overestimated.
That's interesting.
Your
I have a
question.
question because I've never checked if it's true, but I was told, so maybe you can. And I was told that when we start our life in our mother's belly, and we just like a small embryos, and one of the first things to develop is the heartbeat, right? So the heart is already beating, but the baby doesn't have a head, doesn't have a brain, doesn't have all the organs. They're just starting to develop. But is it true that in the heart there is already like a small brain? Like it was proven at some point that that heart already has like a small brain inside it? No?
No. Yeah, the brain is developing in a parallel way.
Okay.
But you can't show it in this way. So the heartbeat can prove by ultrasonic device.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. A friend of mine is a female doctor, and she does a lot of birth giving and this is the heartbeat is the first thing.
Yeah.
But afterwards, they have smell. They have the liquid all around them. They can hear. My daughter, when she was in the womb of my wife, we heard Chanananini. That's not our favorite singer in those times. And I think you know Chanananini. Yeah, you liked it as a small girl. She came, she said, "Oh, that's a nice song." Yeah, she never heard it.
I had it.
So they can hear it before
Yeah, of
the
course.
brain develops.
No.
No.
Later.